Hopefully I'm not shooting myself in the foot by talking a big game before we even get started, but we'll find out what happens. Welcome and welcome back, everybody. Tabletop Toki here, and in today's video, we'll be doing a solo playthrough of The Last Lighthouse, a solo wallet game from designer Scott Almes. During the course of the playthrough, I'll give a tutorial about how the game is played, and be sure you stick around for the end of the video where I share my thoughts about the game in general. A huge shout out to Button Shy Games for sending me a copy for review and preview for the upcoming Kickstarter on January 2nd, 2024. But without further ado, let's get started. Here we have a game of The Last Lighthouse set up and ready to play. Over the course of the game, we'll be protecting our lighthouse from oncoming nightmares using traps. If we are able to survive through the night once the last nightmare has been placed, with our lighthouse intact, we will have won the game. However, if at any point our lighthouse health reaches 0, we will have lost. So for setup, we're going to place out our lighthouse and health tracker with a starting health of 5 points. We'll then place out 4 nightmares leading up to the lighthouse. We'll draw a hand of cards, trap side up. For a standard game, we'll start with 5 cards in hand. For hard mode, we'll start with 4. And for nightmare mode, which we'll be doing here today, we'll start with only 3 traps. The rest of the cards will be placed off to the side to form the draw deck. During the round, we'll have 2 actions to place traps and attack nightmares. In order to place a trap, you'll simply put it anywhere in the line and trigger any when placed effects. To attack a nightmare, we're going to look at the health and the range on the cards. So for example, this card can attack up to 2 to the right. This card can attack up to 1 to the left. So we could target this card with 2 cards doing 1 point of damage each, which meets or exceeds that health value. Any when defeat effects will trigger, and then that card will go into our hand as a new trap to be placed using a later action. As a bonus, once per round, we can also deal 1 point of damage to the lighthouse to gain 1 additional action. Once we finished our action phase, we'll deal a new nightmare from the deck. Any when placed effects will trigger. If there are more than 3 nightmares, our lighthouse will take 1 point of damage. However, if there's only 1 nightmare, meaning we defeated all of them with the traps previously during the action phase, we'll deal an additional nightmare out. Then the nightmares will attack. Much like during our step, they were going to try to defeat traps, starting with the rightmost trap card, meeting or exceeding the health using the range of the cards. If a trap is defeated, it will be discarded, and any when defeated effects will trigger. If no traps are able to be defeated, then each nightmare in range of the lighthouse will deal 1 point of damage to it. If we've survived, we'll move on to the next action phase. We'll keep doing this until the last card of the deck has been placed. If we are able to survive that round with health remaining, we will have won the game. And that's all we need to know to get started. So, nightmare mode, here we come. To start things off, we have some interesting when placed abilities. You can move a nightmare to any point in line. We can discard a card from our hand to defeat a nightmare of our choice, which could come really in handy for this nightmare that has 3 points of health. And when this one's defeated, we repair 1 damage on the lighthouse. So what we want to do is I think we want to place this card out. We'll place it here. And actually, yeah, we'll discard a card from our hand to defeat defeat a nightmare of our choice. So we'll place this card here. I don't think the text is that helpful. Healing is more important, I think. And we'll defeat this card with 3 health because that will be definitely challenging to get rid of. That was our first action, which was placement. So we can place another card out. And then we could potentially do some damage. This one, when placed, all nightmares have 1 less health this turn, which seems really good. This card will be defeated if it's the rightmost card, since both of these can reach it and it only has 2 points of health. So I think what we're going to do is place this card out preemptively. Let's place it here. And I think we're going to actually damage the lighthouse to take a bonus action. So what we're going to do there is we're going to target one of these. This one rotates a trap card to a nightmare, which doesn't seem great. Ooh. And this one, when defeated, adds an additional nightmare from the deck. But I think we have to go for it and get more traps. So we'll do that. And those are our 2 actions of placing plus our bonus action from damaging the lighthouse. When this is defeated, we add an additional nightmare. I'm just going to offset these a bit here. And let's see. So this is a when defeated. Now we're going to move on to the nightmare phase. So we're going to draw a card. There are more than 3 nightmares. So unfortunately, we did not avoid taking a point of damage, but I think we're setting ourselves up well for next round. And then the nightmares are going to attack. These both have a range of 2, so this one will be discarded. We're moving on to our next action phase. So when placed, this trap deals 2 damage points when used to defeat a nightmare. That seems pretty good, honestly. Oh, or all nightmares have 1 less health this turn is really good too. So let's do this. Let's place this one here. They all have one less health. That's our first action. For our second action, we're going to go ahead and damage this card. 1, 2, 3, 4 range and 1, 2, 3 range, even though we only need one. So we're going to defeat this card. When defeated, we remove one trap from either side of this card. We don't have any, so that's fantastic. The other thing that we can do is we can exert to defeat this card, which I think we will. So getting rid of 1, we can damage this card by 2, like so. And this is, when defeated, you can't take any more actions this turn, which is fine because that was our last action anyway. All right, and then we're going to add a card. We only have 3, so we do not take a point of damage there, but we are going to see this has a range of 3, so this will be destroyed, and we repair 1 damage on the lighthouse. So we get back that extra health we had just discarded. Okay, moving on. Ooh, we can gain an additional action, which must be an attack. That doesn't seem too bad. Oh, but when placed, we must put a card from our hand to the bottom of the deck and draw to replace it. Missed that, so let's get rid of this one and replace it. We'll see what we get. The nightmares do not attack this turn. That seems really good. So I think what we'll do is we will place this card here, and then we will defeat this card, which rotates a trap to a nightmare side. Ugh. No one placed abilities are triggered though. That's not great. I'm gonna be honest. So maybe we'll place this out and we gain an additional action, which must be an attack. This is the only one that we can conceivably oh wait, we can do 3 damage here because we have range of 2, range of 4, range of 4. So let's do this one instead and we'll get that as a trap. All right, so we're gonna add a new nightmare. This is a when defeated effect, so nothing triggers there. And then the nightmares do not attack this round. 1 is still added though. So for our next turn, let's see, we can defeat this card. None of the other ones can be defeated right now. This one can deal 2 damage, which might be nice, but I think we want to save that. Actually, let's go ahead and play this card, I think. So this one deals 2 damage, which we can use to get rid of this card. When defeated, if in range 2 of the lighthouse, then the lighthouse takes 2 damage. It is not anywhere near range 2. So we'll take this as a trap. Do we want to exert though to defeat another card? It might be worth it to just take the point of damage and try to get some of these cards out as quickly as possible. So let's try that. This one does 2 damage, so we can kill this one. I mean, we have 4 and 4 here anyway. So we'll take that as a trap. And then it is the nightmare phase. We'll place a new one. This is one placed, add an additional nightmare from the deck. So it's good that we did that because we would have lost a point of health anyway. And this is a when defeated ability. The nightmares are going to attack. We have 3/3. This one is dead. And we're moving on to our next action phase. Okay, we have 2 points of health left. We have 3 nightmares left in the deck. I think we're in a good spot. This card just really sucks though. Having to turn a trap into a nightmare, not ideal. So if we can target these cards, that would be perfect. We can get 1, 2, 3, 4 with this one. Let's just go ahead and do that. And then, do we have any good when placed ones? No. So I think what we'll do then is place this card out here. And then we'll go into the nightmare phase. Not in place effect. We don't have more than 3. They're going to do damage to this card, which was strategically placed because when defeated, we get to draw a card from the deck and add it to our hand, which not only gives us more flexibility with traps, but we also get to count down the timer. Now we only have 1 more round that we have to survive. Okay, this should be doable. It really should. If there's a trap adjacent on both sides of this card, the nightmares attack an additional time. That's not great, but that's fine. If in the rightmost space, the lighthouse takes 2 damage. So we can replace the nightmare with this card, trap side up, remove the nightmare from the game. It does not trigger when defeated effects. Well, let's just do that then. The when defeated effect does not trigger, it just gets discarded. That's a really good card. Okay. And then that's 1. We can do 2. We don't want to defeat this card though, because then the nightmares attack twice. And the only card Oh, this can kill both of these. I think we'll be fine, so we might as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 for 1 point of damage, 1 point of damage here. And then we put out our last nightmare, not of when placed effect, so we're good there. And then the nightmares are going to attack twice because there was a trap on both sides of this card. So looking here, it can take 1 point of damage. And looking here, this can also take 1 point of damage. Okay, so that was our last card. We have survived the night with 2 points of health left, 2 traps placed, 4 in hand, and only 2 nightmares on the board. So we have succeeded in holding out through the nights and protecting the lighthouse from the nightmares. So there you have it. That is a solo playthrough of The Last Lighthouse. Overall, the theme and aesthetic of this game are very unique and very alluring. Beyond that, mechanically, I do find that some of the challenge modes are more suited, I think, personally, to the theme. The regular challenge of having 5 cards feels very achievable and very easy. So I typically prefer playing either on hard mode, where you only start with 4 cards in hand, or nightmare mode, where you only start with 3. This creates a lot of tension and a lot of tough decisions. You have to be a lot more conscientious about which nightmares you defeat when, which traps you place as buffers so that the lighthouse doesn't get damaged. And overall, I personally really prefer the balance of those modes because of my personal playstyle, but I also think that they fit more with the theme overall. But I love the versatility of the different modes. It definitely feels like a completely different game when you're starting with 5 cards versus just 3. So I think there's a little bit of something for everyone there. The one major criticism I will say is of a graphic nature. So being that the nightmare cards are one orientation and the traps are the complete opposite, when you're placing the cards and trying to ascertain which nightmares you want to defeat for the trap abilities, you do have to read upside down pretty frequently and keep a close eye on those things. I think the only solution I can think of that would have made it a little bit more user-friendly is to have the traps maybe placed on the side of the card with the nightmare at this orientation. I typically offset the traps anyway, so to have a trap that would be vertically oriented would also help delineate between traps and nightmares in that regard. But that is a very minor thing. Overall, I think the puzzly nature of The Last Lighthouse is really interesting. There are certainly some mechanics here that I haven't quite seen before in terms of the range of cards damaging each other. And like I said, the theme and aesthetic of this game are spectacular if you're into darker fantasy type themes. So overall, if you're looking for something that's a little bit lighter, or if you're looking for something that's brutal and that's really going to give you a challenge, The Last Lighthouse definitely provides a wide range of experiences based on your personal play preferences, and I would recommend checking it out. That's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please feel free to give it a like. It really helps out the channel and helps these games get out to a wider audience of people who might enjoy them just as much as I do, and hopefully you will as well. Thank you as always for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.